Your Monte Carlo probability of success is irrelevant if you don't know these two things. So I was watching my man Derek Tharp, big fan of Derek. He lives in Portland, Maine. He's a professor at the University of Southern Maine, where my mom graduated night school with a degree in accounting, which is why I've always had an interest in taxation from my old Mom Susie. Anyway, Derek was running this Income Labs portfolio against Right Capital, and that Income Labs thing he's using looks pretty sweet, dude. I got to look more into this. Initially, I just kind of discounted it. But anyway, so I'm a fan of Derek's. I'd consider him my friend if I ever met him. If I drank beer, I'd buy him a pint of Guinness, but I don't drink beer. You know why? Because I like the ladies. And if you like the same, if you know what I'm saying, if you're a guy and you don't like the ladies, you drink beer. That's just a fact. That joke still cracks me up. No one really gets it, or if they do, they're offended by it. Or they'll say, you use that joke too much, Josh. I said, it makes me laugh. As long as I'm making myself laugh, life is good. Anyway, so Derek and I didn't watch this whole video on Monte Carlo. It was actually very interesting how he incorporated annuity into it. I found the Income Lab stuff actually quite interesting, so I got to dive into that. It's just another piece of software. I'm never happy enough. Oh my goodness. Anyway, it's like being a firearm or prepper. When you're a prepper, you never have enough preps. You know what I'm saying? You're always like, I need another firearm. I need some more 12-gauge shotgun shells. I need this. I need some more freeze-dried food. Oh, I need some more batteries. I need some more inverter generators. I never have enough. Anyway, it's like an addiction. So the problem then, I didn't watch Derek's whole video because I'm doing this video instead. So if he extrapolated on this, my apologies, old Derek, but I watched about half. So he's using a Monte Carlo proposal percentage of 94, which seems good, but we have no idea what the standard deviation or the expected rates of return are. We don't know. We don't know what he's using. And he might have said it, I might have missed it, and Derek knows this, so I'm not bashing the guy. Just like, anyone could have a higher, I can make you Bill Gates in the software, you know what I'm saying? And again, I'm not saying Derek's doing this. I need to know what the numbers you're using for your Monte Carlo. You need to know that too, amigos. If you don't know if it's a legitimate probability of success or not. What are we using? I don't know. Are we using, like Wellesley, 8.8% historic rate of return? And I can't remember the standard deviation. I'm going to say 10. I can't remember. Let's just say 10. 8.8% expected rate, historic rates of return with just say a 10 standard deviation. Do you expect that going forward? I don't. Are you using that in your percentage, in your Monte Carlos for standard deviation, the expected rate of return? I wouldn't. So remember, what a Monte Carlo does is says this is your rates of return. These are your expected rates of return. These are your standard deviations. If you receive these things, we run 1,000 or 10,000 scenarios, this would happen. All right. Well, what are we basing that expected rate of return standard deviation on? Historic rates of return. Okay, well, what if you don't expect historic rates of return? Because historic rates of return are quite favorable. So if we use a Wellesley, historic rates of return, 8.8 since 1970, since its inception. Do you expect a heavy bond portfolio to give you 8.8% a year? Hell no, dude. Hell no. That's crazy talk. So I wouldn't use that. In fact, a Wellesley fund, I use about 4.5. So a little bit, right about half, and walk up a hill. If I get winded, bear with me. So I use about half the historic rates of return on Wellesley. And I'll keep the same standard deviation. And the reason for that is because interest rates are so low, that's tough to see the volatility of the bonds in the Wellesley fund going more than what they did from basically 1970s until 2023, right? It's just hard to see that. Now, it could happen, I don't know, but I'll still use the same standard deviation, but I won't use the same rates of return, even though I think the standard deviation is probably a little bit shooting too high. Rough. Remember, standard deviation, it's not bad. It's not good. It just is. Volatility is volatility on the upside as well as the downside. Remember, volatility means you could make more money. The higher the volatility, the more money you could have. So I like to use, oh, hey, buddy. What's up, puppy? Come here. Hey, we got 2 doggies. And we got some chickens. I like to use higher volatilities because it does measure more downside risk. Also means more upside potential too, don't get me wrong. But less upside potential with high volatility when you're using low rates of return. All right, so less upside potential, I should say, when you're using low rates of return, even if your volatility is high. And so I'm coming at you negative on so many ways in my right capital. I'm saying lower expected rates of returns than historic numbers by far. Same volatility. That means a lot, same downside risk, and much less on the upside, because standard deviation in rates of return determine upside and downside. That probably doesn't make any sense, but I'm not going to record the video because I'm tired. Anyway, so you need to know this. If you're running a financial plan, some guy says you're at 95% probability of success. He goes, whoa. Back up there, Jack. What's your expected rate of return and volatility? Standard deviation. And then you can know if you're using historic numbers or something a little bit more, in my opinion, realistic. I'd love to hear your thoughts. God bless. Don't forget to hit the like button. We'll see you next time.